Okay, how do stereotypes and intolerance affect our lives? In society, we're constantly being labeled young, old, leader, follower, athletic or wimpy, smart or dumb, unemployed, college graduate, ugly or pretty, white, black, straight, gay, male, female. Okay, that's just way too long. It sounded nice when I wrote it. I'm going to get rid of, which one don't I like? I think unemployed, college graduate kind of is covered in the smart or dumb. I like those last ones. I'll just get rid of that one as well. That will help make it shorter. So in society, we're constantly being labeled young, old, athletic, wimpy, smart, dumb, ugly, pretty, white, black, straight, gay, male, female. Might still be a little long, but I think it's better. Some of these labels are part of our identity. Others are more like stereotypes than actual truth. When stereotypes are allowed to define people and intolerance is given free rein, people's lives can be negatively impacted. Stereotypes and intolerance have a deep effect on all lives because it leads to social tension and ignorance of the truth and makes individuals isolated and depressed. Okay, I think that's good. Just keep going. First and foremost, stereotypes and intolerance create social tension. The intense, savage attacks between citizens and politicians of different political parties in the 2020 American election reveals that people only want to align themselves with people who they agree with, and they care more about their own ideas than listening to find truth. Democrats and Republicans have been less concerned about what's best for the American people and more concerned about winning and supporting those who are like them. It's become a battle of insults rather than a discussion of important issues. This shows that stereotypes and intolerance aren't harmless actions, but can have, I'm going to put a comma, but have, this shows that stereotypes and intolerance aren't harmless actions, but have a drastic effect on our lives by creating a society that doesn't care about truth at all, only about what they've heard about someone. You know, I think I realize I don't really I summarize it as social tension, but it doesn't really make sense. It create societies focused on emotion more than truth. That's really more what I talk about, so I don't really know why I say that. So I'm going to change that in my claim as well, because it leads to ignorance. Oh, I already say that. Ignorance of the truth. I'm just going to delete that social tension part. So stereotypes and intolerance have a deep effect on all lives because it leads to ignorance of the truth and makes individuals isolated and depressed. I think that's way better. Okay. First and foremost, stereotypes and intolerance create societies focused on emotion more than truth. Yeah, I think that's good. And then we'll go through the same. All right, now I need to change this one. So stereotypes and intolerance don't just cause social tension. Get rid of that. Stereotypes and intolerance don't just cause ignorance of the truth, but they also affect an individual's mind. The monster's extreme depression in Frankenstein suggests that stereotypes placed upon people can lead to devastating consequences in mind and action. Oh no. No period. There we go. The monster says, "Everywhere I see bliss from which I alone am irrevocably excluded. I was benevolent and good. Misery made me a fiend." He was born a good person, but as people in society excluded and hated him, the monster fell into a depression that in turn led him to stop being good and to commit murder out of revenge. Kind of confusing sentence. He was born good. I'm just going to say he was born good, but as people in society excluded and hated him, the monster fell into a depression that led, that led him to stop being good and commit murder out of revenge. He was born good, but as people in society excluded and hated him, the monster fell into a depression that led him to stop being good and commit murder out of revenge. I think that's better, a little smoother. This doesn't justify the monster's crimes, but it does suggest that stereotypes and intolerance drastically affect the trajectory of a person's life and their entire mindset. The cruel behavior of others can lead people to be depressed or even mentally unstable and to eventually do the bad things that are expected of them. Yeah, I think that's a great ending. Some might say that these negative outcomes of stereotypes and intolerance can be outweighed by the benefits of them. We need to be able to make judgment calls about people in order to stay safe or decide who we want to spend our time with. While this may be true to some extent, the negative impacts of stereotypes and intolerance are far too dangerous to ignore. Stereotypes and intolerance can lead to a society that's tense and divided along personal opinion, and to individuals who are isolated and depressed. I think this actually still works. Tense and divided along personal opinion. still applies because I kind of changed the social tension thing. I think that's okay. We cannot allow stereotypes and ignorance to go on unchecked. I know I have felt afraid and depressed living in a nation that's so consumed by intolerance. This isn't just a nice thing we should try to do. That's something we need to work on. So it kind of like is broken up here. So I don't know what this is in this sentence. Let's see. We cannot. Let's see. What is this? I'm saying. So we need to work on. I'm going to reorganize the sentence. We need to work on more open-minded to others instead of being intolerant for the survival of our country. We need to work on being more open-minded to others instead of being intolerant for the survival of our country. I'm just going to get rid of that. So I know I have felt, we cannot allow stereotypes and intolerance to go on unchecked. I know I have felt afraid and depressed living in a nation that's so consumed by intolerance. We need to work on being more open-minded to others instead of being intolerant. We need to learn from the mistakes we see in these examples and choose to find truth rather than just make quick judgments of others. I'm going to say of people. I feel like I just said others instead of making quick judgments about people. We need to listen to other ideas and not reject people just because they don't fit our idea of normal. We can and must be better so we can start to bring peace and healing to our country. Since I deleted that part about our country. So I know I felt afraid and depressed living in a nation that's so consumed by intolerance. We need to work on being more open-minded to others instead of being intolerant. We need to learn from the mistakes we see in these examples and choose to find the truth rather than just make quick judgments about people. We need to listen to other ideas and not reject people just because they don't fit our idea of normal. We can and must be better so that we can start to bring peace and healing to our country. I think that's good. I don't think I need a comma. Okay, so now I actually feel a lot better. I changed just a few key ideas. So I caught some little typos. I changed some of my major ideas so that it makes more sense. It flows a little better. It's stronger. And I feel confident turning it in. So I'll finish by just getting rid of all the highlights, all the underlines, all the text is black, no bold. Except for, I am going to bold the title just so it stands out. Boom. Okay, I'm ready to turn in my final draft.